So what we learned is it's better to be lucky than unlucky. Don't follow people too close. Don't think you're going to go through yellow lights, because if the person in front of you doesn't, then you better have a second option. And sliding into the back of them is not a second option that's viable, in my opinion. So it's never worth it to go through a yellow light. Like, how much of a hurry can you really be in? It's just not worth it. Unless somebody's like dying and you have to go see them, or you're transporting somebody, then, I mean, even then, still, if you're gonna put other people at risk, that's not doing anybody any good. It's kind of like when you're on the airplane and they say, hey, put your mask on first and then take care of other people, because you're of no good to anyone else if you yourself aren't in good shape. So you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. If you're not doing real good, you're not going to be able to take care of other people real good. So, you know, sometimes in life you got to prioritize yourself first. And, you know, I think you get, why is it that when we humans see yellow lights, they're like, I feel like maybe 50-50, they're like, oh, I'm going for it, or, oh, no, it's cool. Like, depends on the type of day you're having, you know. Are you having a good day? Is it not stressful? Because if it's not stressful and you're having a good day, chances are you're going to be that person hitting the brakes pretty hard to stop at the yellow. And there's times when, you know, it's not safe to try to slam on the brakes. Definitely times for that. Say you're towing a car, you have a heavy trailer on the back, and, you know, you're cruising, light turns yellow, and it's like a 50-mile-an-hour speed limit, and the light turns yellow when it's right at that iffy, but it's wet outside, so you could potentially jackknife your trailer, swing it into other cars. You know, you could cause an accident just on your own trying to stop. Or you can potentially run the red light, and barely, within reason. Not like, oh, the light's red, 2, 3, and then you go through the intersection. That's not safe, because the other lights are going to turn green within that time, and there'll probably be other traffic moving through the intersection. So, but why do we have the need? I know I've done it. I know everybody does it. It's like, oh, yellow light, yeah, I'll be fine, I'll just go. And it's an interesting thought to think, why do we want to go through that yellow light? It's going to make you what? Maybe 5 minutes later, say you catch another red light down the road because of it. Okay. Think about 5 minutes within your whole life, or think about the amount of time it's going to take me now, and the amount of money and the insurance and all that is going to change now. And it's just, I've been lucky that I haven't had anything like this happen, because I know I've been in circumstances where it very well could happen to me. And, you know, like I said earlier, it's sometimes just better to be lucky. I personally go out and I'll test stuff. As soon as I get on the road in a safe area, I'll hit the throttle hard. I'll turn kind of sharp on a turn, expecting the vehicle to do something, get unsettled, and just to test the road conditions. I'll hit the brakes hard as long as nobody's behind me, and see what the car does. You got to know, does your vehicle's ABS system work? Does it have ABS? Do you know what the ABS feels like? Do you know how the vehicle's going to react under ABS? These are things that I think people need to go through and test. You know, test themselves, wake themselves up, you know, get more in touch with the vehicle, and say, if I'm going to be a responsible driver, I got to go out. I got to know what my vehicle's going to do when I give it certain inputs and throughout numerous road conditions. Because, I mean, if you drive really anywhere, it's always going to be different. It's going to be sunny. You know, usually if it's been sunny and nice out for 2 weeks and then it rains, well, you've got a lot more oil buildup on the road. So as soon as that water starts hitting the ground, oil's lighter than water, so it comes to the surface. So when you're driving in the rain after, you know, a few nice weeks and it hasn't rained, the roads are going to be more slippery, just plain and simple. Oil leaks out, vehicles leak, there's grease everywhere all the time. And you can see like bumps in the road going down the highway. You can see just after the bump, there's that big old dark spot on the road. Well, that's because that's when all the drips that are eventually going to fly off, they come off because the vehicle's going up and down. So especially on areas like that, going down the highway, you know, you get a little bit of water on the road, it's going to act different than when you got an inch of water on the road, you know. I've experienced hydroplaning. I've experienced ice. Like, you go out and you hope that you're not in a situation where you're too far past the limit and it goes out of control and you get in an accident. So if you're out there driving through a yellow, think about it. Is it really worth it? Because I can almost guarantee that it's not. It's almost never worth it to go through that yellow light. I'd rather be the jackass jamming their brakes at a yellow light and getting rear-ended rather than being the jackass trying to make the yellow light and rear-ending somebody and getting a ticket. You know, because we've all been sitting first car at the red light, and then your light turns green and you see that next person just pew, you know, just hauling, making the yellow light, making the red light, whatever you want to say, but it's it's just not worth it. And if you see the yellow, try to hit your brakes. You got to know how quick your vehicle stops too, you know. You got to know, am I safely going to brake before I get to the intersection? Are there cars behind you? Always be aware of what's on either side of you. Do you have an out to the left or to the right? Are you able to just come to a stop because there's nobody behind you, even if you do skid a little bit, you know? What else? I mean, yeah. I had something else to say, clearly. And I was just going to edit all that out, but I don't know. I didn't handle the situation very well. I was in the middle of the big project out in the shop working on the Black Caprice and get a phone call that my wife was in an accident, and then it was her fault that she was in the accident. And I clearly didn't take it well. It's very hard for me to reel back my emotions because I'm not an empathetic person within certain circumstances. If somebody would have hit her, it would have been 100% empathy. But the fact that she hit someone and it was her fault, it was like, especially after I've mentioned it numerous times, multiple times, hey, slow down, give them room. And the circumstances for this were just, it was wet out. She was probably going too fast. Well, clearly going too fast, clearly following too close behind. And she made the decision that she was going to go through the yellow light. And the car in front of her was like, oh, nope, not going through the yellow light. And I asked her, I said, well, were there cars around you? Could you go around? No, there was a car next to me. And I said, did they stop at the yellow light? She said, yes. I said, well, that's 2 out of 3 cars, 66% of people in that circumstance who were closer to the light than you, or at least one of them was, decided that it was okay to stop. Even if the person in front of my wife stopped a little bit in the intersection, there's no way my wife was ever going to stop. And, you know, she's the mother of our child, and if something happens to her, that would put a lot of hurt on him growing up. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that for anybody. No child deserves to grow up without a parent, and no parent should have to raise their child by themselves. So we got lucky. I'm grateful that this looks like it's fixable. We don't have to total out the van because we just put a bunch of money in it. But that's not what it's about. We would have gotten a new vehicle. We'd be okay there. But, you know, we'll go order some parts and see how long it's going to take them to get here. Thanks. I remembered what I wanted to say, so I'll say it now. When you're driving and you are in adverse conditions, take into consideration, okay, it's dry out. I need this much room to stop. Okay, it's wet out. I need this much room to stop. Okay, now it's wet and it's potentially freezing. So I need this much room to stop. And your stopping distance considerations should get bigger, and your speeds should also decrease. And that gives you that extra buffer. If you're loaded with a lot of rock in the bed of your truck, if you have a trailer behind you, all of that stuff goes into consideration. Now, if you're in a small vehicle and you're following a larger vehicle, like a big truck that has a trailer on it, I'll say it, you get a little bit more of a cushion because chances are your braking distance is going to be much less than that big truck in front of you. So your reaction time, whatever it is, a half second, a second, depending on if you're paying attention and seeing brake lights ahead of you, as soon as they come on, then, the amount of feet per second, I haven't looked at it in a while, but you cover a lot of ground really fast, and your reaction time you lose quite a bit of distance before you even hit the brakes. So knowing what's behind you, knowing what's in front of you, and knowing what your vehicle is capable of and what you're comfortable doing in your vehicle really should determine how you drive on the road. I just want to say that everything with the van turned out okay. Got all fixed. The alignment was a little bit off. They adjusted it. Van drives just as good as it did before. My wife's okay. She was happy that we were able to fix it, but we did end up buying a new vehicle anyway, so we bought a new truck that has 4 doors and is good with the kid and car seat. So thanks for watching. You'll get to see this thing drive out. See ya.